This week on the news, we get a quick update on the cargo ship Raleigh and the Francis Scott Key Bridge. We also take a look at that new congestion pricing plan set to take effect in Manhattan. And Memorial Day weekend is coming, so we take a look ahead to the holiday travel. Greetings and welcome to Turnpikes.com's weekly update of all that's coming down the pike. First, an update for you about the Francis Scott Key Bridge. The debris pinning down the cargo ship Raleigh, which collided with that bridge at the end of March, was finally blown off the decks during the past week, although the Raleigh itself remains in place. Meanwhile, the head of the Federal Highway Administration has urged Congress to fully reimburse the state of Maryland for the reconstruction of the Key Bridge. Administrator Shailene Batt was before Congress on May 15th to make the case for 100% reimbursement of the bridge's reconstruction costs, which are now currently reported at between $1.7 billion and $1.9 billion. On the subject of construction, North Carolina has broken ground on the final leg of the Triangle Expressway. That happened on Friday as part of the Complete 540 project, which will eventually encompass a full loop around Raleigh, comprised of both North Carolina's Highway 540 and Interstate 540. Construction of the southern leg of this loop has been underway since late 2019 and is expected to be completed later this year. With Friday's groundbreaking, the last portion of the loop, shown here in gray from the NCDOT website, will close the Raleigh loop. A complete timeline for completion is now set for about 2028. Speaking of loops, what originally began as a plan to build an extension for Osceola Parkway in Metro Orlando has morphed into a plan to build a loop around Osceola County, which borders Orlando's Orange County. Once called the Osceola Parkway Extension, the project is now called the State Road 534 project, which aims to make the roadway a portion of the north and east legs of an eventual 50-mile loop that will include the Poinciana Parkway on the west and south. Of course, controversy continues to surround a recent land swap deal in Central Florida that will permit construction of a portion of that loop through a 60-acre portion of the Split Oak Forest, among the most controversial segments of the long-term plan for the new State Road 534 project. However, the most immediate construction is set to begin much closer to the original Osceola Parkway Extension, only it won't be called that. Instead, the project will include an extension connecting to Simpson Road, which itself connects to the east end of Osceola Parkway. That spur will be called the Simpson Road Extension. Even in the short term, construction is not set to begin until late 2025. In other controversies, there has been much gnashing of the teeth across the Northeast Corridor and across the 5 boroughs in particular for the Metropolitan Transit Authority's plan for congestion pricing, which is supposed to start next month in the New York City metro area. The plan puts a $15 charge on people driving into the Manhattan Central Business District, as it is being called, which sits south of 60th Street, or below 60th, as the MTA is calling it. Peak charges will be incurred between 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. during the week, with the morning start time pushed back to 9 a.m. on weekends. Of course, anyone who pays a toll going through any of the tunnels that go into Manhattan, that's the Hugh Carey, the Queens Midtown, Lincoln and Holland tunnels, will get a slight break. The MTA will issue what's called a crossing credit of $5 for passenger cars and the like. Keep in mind, a vehicle tolled in the congestion relief zone can only be charged 1 congestion toll per day. The crossing credit, however, does not apply to the bridges into Manhattan, which are not operated by the MTA. Again, congestion pricing starts at the end of June. Coming this weekend, of course, is Memorial Day weekend, and what has become known as the traditional start of summer also fires the first salvo of the summer travel season. This weekend's travels are likely to be marked by plenty of heat and traffic. Let's start with the traffic, as the American Automobile Association is forecasting 38.4 million of us will be hitting the road for Memorial Day, which marks the first time since before the pandemic that traffic levels will beat 2019 travel figures. Another 3.5 million people will be traveling by air this coming holiday, with another 1.9 million using other modes of transit. With road trips beating pre-pandemic numbers for the first time, you'll be delighted to know AAA is also reporting gas prices are reaching their 2024 highs, but that is actually typical of this time of the year. The auto organization says fuel prices this year are not significantly higher than last year, something that is confirmed by the U.S. Energy Information Administration, which reports gas prices hit about $3.73 per gallon during the past week. That's about 9 cents higher than a year ago at this time. Meanwhile, it is expected to be a warm holiday, particularly across the southern portions of the country. Our weather partners at AccuWeather are warning of hot conditions impacting the southern states from Arizona and Texas east across the Gulf into Florida. Temperatures for much of the country will be in the 80s and 90s, although there will be a few cooler spots, including in Maine and across much of the northern tier. From the UP of Michigan to Seattle, smoky conditions due to spotty wildfires could impact some areas and be of concern for those sensitive to air quality issues. We will be off next week for the Memorial Day holiday, but we'll return the following week with a fresh look at the summer toll increases that are set to take effect, most of them at the beginning of July. Until then, we wish you and your family a very safe Memorial Day and safe travels from all of us at Turnpikes.com, the Turnpike Authority.